This is about real politics, so please donate and subscribe. Andrew Perez is a political strategist, and he's a Liberal. And he joins me now. I want to put the question to you, Andrew, that Trudeau describes himself as a progressive. And many people will argue that he has distinctly non-Liberal policies, and that millions of people who have voted Liberal, who consider themselves Liberal, will not vote for him because he has left them behind. Do you think this government, this federal government, is a Liberal government?
I mean, I still think it's a Liberal government. I think
in more than name?
Well, I think parties evolve. I think what I've been critical of is that the Liberal Party historically, up until about 10 or 15 years ago, was a brokerage party. And there were elements of that party which were certainly on the progressive end, but there were also centrist and business factions within that party. And you saw in the cabinet of Chrétien, you had people like John Manley and Paul Martin and Lloyd Axworthy and Alan Rock and Sheila Copps. And they were able to balance.
And in Trudeau won. There were, the same thing, business people, solid people and it was a broad spectrum. I know from cabinet meetings that there'd be left, right, and center, they all be discussing with a common goal. We don't seem to have that now.
So that's what we've lost. And you could even argue that in the first Justin Trudeau term, we had a bit of that with Bill Morneau and Scott Bryson, Jim Carr, Ralph Goodale.
And look what happened to them.
Yes,
they were set sailing.
And I think you can argue that you've seen that reflected in the public policy decisions of this government that have increasingly lurked to the left, exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
The spending has never been reined in. And I'm actually pleased that the Liberals were the only party in Parliament to vote against a $16 billion boost to OAS payments, because the money isn't there. And if we're going to spend more money, we need to spend it on building more housing and helping young people.
And transportation.
Infrastructure.
We are infrastructure. We are one of the worst countries in the world now as far as railroads. We used to be one of the best.
And the irony of it is I think that the progressive vision that Trudeau had was part of it was to solidify young Canadians under 35.
Right.
Now,
and they voted for him.
They did at least once or twice. Now young Canadians are stampeding over to the Conservatives, and the Liberals are double-digit point behind the Conservatives among the under 35 demographic.
So, I put it to you again, Andrew. Is that because this is not a traditional Liberal government that appeals to the average working Canadian?
Well, in a sense, and as I've said on social media, if you are an able-bodied, healthy 30-year-old living in your mom and dad's basement, national childcare, pharmacare, dental care don't mean a whole lot to you. They're not going to improve your day-to-day life. You need a job. You need to get into the housing market. What is this government doing? What is this government doing to help those people?
For another story. Andrew, thank you very much. 3 minutes. To those of you who have subscribed and donated, a heartfelt thank you. You're keeping us on the air. If you're watching and you haven't, please try to do so, because 4 years ago we started this show because there needed to be independent analysis. Now more than ever, with the Online Harms Act. Once that gets into law, it's been passed once by the House, there are going to be hundreds of bureaucrats censoring the news in Canada, censoring this show. We need to keep it on the air. Thanks for your support.